Hello, I'm JoAnn Brown, legal writer with the State Bar of Wisconsin. I'm here at the annual Solo and Small Firm Conference, the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells. We are in person for the first time, I believe, since 2019. I'm here with JoAnn Gromowski, who's a solo practitioner in Fond du Lac. She has just been part of a breakout CLE on work productivity and flexible work schedules. Welcome, JoAnn.
Thank you for having me.
You talked a little bit about the situation you were in when you began practicing and some of the time stressors that placed on you. You want to talk a little bit about that, everything you had going on?
Sure. Well, when I started my practice 20 years ago, I was a single mom and I had elderly parents, so I wanted to be part of my daughter's life. And before that, I was putting on a lot of hours at work, 80 hours plus. So I needed to do something that would make it much more flexible. I implemented things like blocking time for making phone calls so that I could go to my daughter's plays during the day or to her sporting events in the afternoon. I also implemented strict hours of when I would call clients back and email them.
So those were things you did a while ago before the pandemic, and
Yes.
So you maybe had a little bit of a jump start on this whole flexible hours and productivity thing for people. How did you manage client expectations around that, and what were client reactions to those steps that you took?
Yeah, so my clients, for the most part, were very good with what I was doing as long as I communicated with them what I was planning to do as far as my hours going, when I would call them back, when I would email them back. They seemed to be very, I don't even know the word I want to say, but very flexible with it. Most of them wanted me to be able to have that time off with my daughter because my estate planning clients were mostly elderly and they kind of went through life already. They already saw that, hey, I didn't get to go to my kids' activities. I didn't get to do this or that because I'd put in all these hours working. You need to do it because if you don't do it now, you're not going to have the chance. So they were like, go for it, just be upfront with us when we can call you, when you're going to call us back, how that's going to work. Other than that, they seem pretty well. I actually got more slack from attorneys when they did it. My first email was from an attorney in Canada that said, well, what do you do on your Fridays that you have off? I said, I actually work, but it's time that I don't take phone calls or emails, so I'm actually so much more productive at getting my stuff done so that I'm not here Saturday and Sunday working.
Did that reaction, largely positive from your telling, that clients had, did that surprise you?
Yes, it did. I was actually very surprised. I thought I'd get a lot more feedback of, attorneys are supposed to be working all these hours. You're supposed to be on our beck and call. You're supposed to be doing this. This is what a law firm looks like. And I didn't get any of that. So I was very shocked at it. They kind of just went with me on it.
Now you talked about this experience with you as a trust and estates lawyer, someone that does estate planning. Obviously might be different for someone who has a different practice, especially say a litigation practice.
So estate planning, as I keep calling it, is a paper pusher. So I had a lot of leeway on what I could do, sending clients documents and they could go get it notarized at their bank, or I could go over it with them on the phone if I needed to. I think it's a lot more difficult for anyone that does litigation or has to be in court hands-on. I know during the pandemic there was more times where the court allowed them to come on Zoom meetings. I personally don't like Zoom meetings. I will do them if I have to with my clients, but for the most part, I'm able to meet with them in different locations, wherever they felt like it. I've met in crazy places.
What's the craziest?
The craziest?
Other than a tavern. It's Wisconsin.
No.
We gotta find something crazier than a tavern.
In a graveyard.
A graveyard?
In a graveyard. Yep. She wanted to sign her documents where her husband's grave was. And it was like, okay, we can do that. I have met on Christmas Eve in a truck stop in Portage because the
I know
trucker,
that truck stop, the big one.
The big one. The trucker was driving through, and that was the only date that she could get papers signed because she told me, I can't park my rig any other place. I need some place I can park it. That was it.
Wow.
So very creative, different areas.
Do you think work from home and some of the changes made in the pandemic, admittedly there were things you had done pre-pandemic, but has that made people more flexible, more productive overall, do you think, as a profession?
I think so. At least from the attorneys that I've worked with, they seem to get a lot more done when they have that time where they can kind of schedule it, where they're more up to par at working. You know, if they had a rough night and didn't get much sleep, then yes, you know, they might sleep in and then come into work later, so they're more productive rather than sitting at the computer, looking at it, wishing, you know, half falling asleep, going, okay, now what was I doing? You know, so I do see that. Or I used to do things in the middle of the night. I know one of my colleagues was mentioning that. I was one of these people that I love staying up late and typing up a trust. You know, that was my time where my mind worked the best. So, you know, different people are good at different times and different ways of communicating. So I think the pandemic made everyone be much more creative, you know, and allow people to actually exceed at what they're good at the time that they're good at, and the location that they're good at.
Right. Okay, great. Thanks for those insights, JoAnn.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Bye-bye.